Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine here. I'm making a follow-on video from the video I made 2 days ago where it was a reaction to a Times article on wood groups shares falling down to a low level. I mean, my interest in wood group is the fact that Wood Group bought AMEC Foster Wheeler, and AMEC Foster Wheeler bought Foster Wheeler in 2014. And I was harassed out of my job in 2014 at Foster Wheeler. And so I always knew that I was harassed out of my job. I knew that, and I still know that I don't have the mental illness that they say I have. I mean, that's not to say I don't have a mental illness, but I don't have the mental illness they say I have. And basically what happened was when I was being harassed out of my job, Foster Wheeler was saying that I was mentally ill while they were going around doing all these things, which I will discuss in future videos. But the thing is I still haven't really decided whether I'm going to go through all of my documentation and make a video on each piece of documentation one by one. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to do that. I may do it. I'll have to get the forms out, but I may do it. But what this video is, this is a reaction to the Google search that I did. And the reason why I had to do a Google search is because the article that I read on Sunday morning was a Times article, and then I emailed the link to myself, and when I tried to get the link, you had to either subscribe to the Times or open an account with the Times, which I didn't want to open an account because I've got tons and tons of accounts of things already, and I don't want any more accounts. So I couldn't print off the article to read it. But basically, the article in the Times stated that wood groups shares have plummeted to a low, and they said that wood group started going into decline in 2017 when it bought AMEC Foster Wheeler. And one thing that's interesting about AMEC Foster Wheeler is when AMEC bought Foster Wheeler, and I believe it's 2014, that company started going into decline as well. So Foster Wheeler is just bad news. And obviously, I only can tell you what I knew from my perspective as being an employee, and I wasn't in management, so I don't know the ins and outs of what was going on in management. But I do believe that me being harassed out of the company was financially motivated. Even though I was not a senior member of staff, I was a key member of staff. And they could have taken a life insurance policy out on me. The head office had been in Delaware at one point, and from what I understand, that they could have just in Delaware, there are certain states in the United States where you can take an insurance policy on somebody without their knowledge or permission. So as far as I know, they could have taken an insurance policy out on me, because they really did try to paint a picture of me as being mentally ill, and they tried to get me to harm myself. And I believe that there was a financial motivation for that. And in addition to that, when they let me go, one of the letters that they wrote to me, which has since been removed from my flat, was that I was not supposed to be talking about Foster Wheeler, and they tried to intimidate me. So it was a really terrible time, and I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to make the videos about this awful company. One thing I will say about Foster Wheeler it's not a place for good people. And I didn't make that up. Somebody told me that. Somebody told me that Foster Wheeler is not a place for good people. So since I could not print off that article, I just did a search on Google. And it said in 2021, the Wood Group paid $177 million to settle bribery charges related to the legacy Foster Wheeler business. The settlement resolved investigations by authorities in the UK, US, Brazil, and I would like to add to that Nigeria, because if you go onto Google and you do a search, you just say Foster Wheeler corruption, Africa, there will be tons and tons of articles about Nigeria, which I didn't read them. I just looked at the headings. But one of the headings was that the UK government had to pay the Nigerian government money for things that Foster Wheeler had done. So I'm sure that the UK government wasn't happy about that. And that may be why there are so many negative articles about Foster Wheeler in the press right now, because the UK government was mad that they had to pay all that money to Nigeria. So this Google search that I didn't include Africa, but Africa is included in it, and you can do a search on Google and find all those articles if you care to read them. So the Wood Group acquired Foster Wheeler in 2017. The Wood Group was accused of paying bribes to officials around the world to secure contracts. And I had actually heard that when I was an employee of Foster Wheeler. I had heard that they were discussing doing that. They were discussing buying contracts. The Wood Group admitted to using third-party agents for bribery and corruption in the Foster Wheeler business. So Foster Wheeler wasn't doing it. Foster Wheeler was paying people to do it, just like they paid people to harass me. The Wood Group entered into a deferred prosecution agreement with the UK Serious Fraud Office. So this made it to the Serious Fraud Office. The Wood Group also settled with Brazilian authorities. And it said, what was the settlement? I don't know. It said the Wood Group paid $177 million over 3 years. The Wood Group took responsibility for 10 corruption offenses. The Wood Group entered into leniency agreements with Brazilian agencies. The Wood Group gave undertakings to enhance its ethics and compliance program. And it says, what was the impact? And so, but also it didn't include Africa. But if you search Foster Wheeler Corruption Africa, it'll give you lots of articles about Nigeria, and you can find out all about that. And the thing about Foster Wheeler, if they had corrupt business dealings with their clients, they treated their employees exactly the same way. I mean, once they decided they wanted rid of a person, they made that person's life hell. And in my case, Foster Wheeler was being sold the AMAC. So all they had to do was make me redundant, but they didn't want to do that. They wanted to push me out of the company. And they have written me really nasty letters that caused me to cry. And those letters are no longer in my possession. They have been removed from my apartment, and they've been replaced with more moderately worded letters. And so I haven't really decided what I'm going to do whenever I get to the part about Foster Wheeler. I've got papers under my bed, and I might just take those papers under my bed and go through those papers under my bed and make videos about what was in my bed, and videos about what happened afterwards as well. Because not only were things going on while I was at Foster Wheeler, after I left Foster Wheeler, the harassment didn't stop. They continued the harassment, and I want to be able to discuss that. And one thing that I was thinking about yesterday was, whereas Foster Wheeler had to be held accountable for their corruption charges, bribery, corruption charges. They've never been held accountable for what they did to me. And I'm just a nobody. I'm just a nobody. And they've never been accountable for what they've done to me. They never made reparations for what they've done to me. And that's one thing that aggrieves me. So I've been talking over 10 minutes on this subject, so I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video. I've talked about my reaction to my Google search and some on Foster Wheeler corruption, and I talked a little bit about what they did to me. And at some point when I get to the part about Foster Wheeler, I will be talking about all the things that I personally experienced while working in that company. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe, and I'll be going back tomorrow and returning to the videos of when I was in the first grade at Mapleville Elementary School.